Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you guys jump on in. How are you doing? It's Friday. Woohoo! It's Friday, you guys. What are you going to do this weekend? I would love to know. It is a beautiful weekend in Minnesota, very fall day. And we're now down into the 50s. So now it's a little bit of shacket weather. But this is how it goes. So the leaves have been gorgeous and now they're going to fall. And then we're going to go right into, winter. Oh, well, it is what it is. Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. I hope you are so excited that it's Friday. I really, really do. Let's see. What is my housekeeping for today? So if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Liebelt, and we talk about insulin resistance every single day. Well, okay, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, insulin resistance. And then I have a Facebook group called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Really, really, really helpful to resource anybody who feels like you just don't have enough pieces to your puzzle. Why you're gaining weight, why you can't lose weight, why you, what is this whole insulin resistance thing and all of those pieces. Good morning, Carol. Happy Friday morning. And so that is a group to get into. I put this up here on the Tickety Talk because then there's like a little screenshot, because then you can see on my profile, that's what my profile looks like. And then you're able to go to that little site, Ola. It's just a handful of buttons. But if you scroll up, you'll see a Facebook blue button. So it's just a tap so that you can get right into the group if that's what you want to do. Free resources. So when you get in, you'll get tagged in a free recipe PDF. Every month we do a 5-day challenge. It's free 99. And in November, it'll be our 18th one. Our 18th challenge. That's crazy pants. So it's very exciting and it's very fun. And I love resourcing you guys with ingredient trade outs and recipes. And I'm Italian, so this is a really big deal for me and all of those good things. Next week, for all of y'all, and I'll try to remember to say this at the end too, I am actually traveling from Minnesota to Orlando next Wednesday. And so I wonder what time my flight is on Wednesday. I think I can still do Wednesday morning, but Thursday and Friday, I will be off. And so I just thought I would make sure that I tell you guys that. But if you have then things that, if you have questions and stuff, you can always reach out to me. I'm always available because that's what we do. Like the whole point is that if you can have somebody that can walk journey with you, God, what a gift, right? It is such a helpful thing. I feel like I understand that there are so many negatives that have come from the internet. I get it. I really do. Like, I just bought a grounding sheet, you guys. Like, hello, because I'm on my phone all the time because I'm on social media. So I'm like on my phone a lot, running business, and which is a beautiful thing. I am not complaining. Like to have an income off of your phone is a really helpful thing. But my girlfriend was like, she bought a grounding sheet that it's a strip of fabric that goes on your bed and then it plugs in so that you can ground yourself. So I get the negatives of electronics and all of the things and the EMFs and the whatever. Like, I don't understand it all, but I get the concepts of getting ourselves back to a better state. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I went off on a tangent. My point being that the good things that have come from the internet, the good things that have come, one of them is just being able to still be in community and still being able to be like connected to people. Like when I did my journey, good morning. Okay. Good morning, Terry. Good to see you. Oh, you will miss me, but have a fantastic time. Thank you so much. It's a Christian social media business conference because I'm on socials. So that's what that is. Anyway, like when I did my journey, and I've talked about this before, so I'm Italian. Ever since I was a very little girl, like when I was born, the year that I was born, my father was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. He was 35. Okay. He died at 63. So my whole life, literally since I was born, was my dad being type 2. And his health just did this for all of those years. That's why I'm so opinionated and I'm so passionate, because I say it a million times and I'll just be a broken record. This is not a terminal diagnosis. This is ridiculous that we are still medicated and not being helped to deal with this. This is why I come on here every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. But anyway, so having said that, when I did my journey in my 50s, I'm almost 60, you guys. I'll be 60 in January. And when I started my journey shy of my 51st birthday, this really wasn't a thing yet. Like people weren't going, I don't even think live was, it didn't exist. Trying to think if it did. I don't think so. Live has only been, it's right, pretty close. But you hadn't really found your river yet. You hadn't found your way yet. And so I just did my own journey of trading out my food ingredients and targeting my supplements and doing it. I just did it all by myself. And inside my head, just me and Jesus, I always like to say, because I didn't really want people's opinions about what I was doing. I wanted to do it on my own. I had too many food pushers in my life. I had too many negative Nellies that would maybe tell me that the way that I was eating was wrong and blah, blah, blah. People are very opinionated about food. You know this, right? And so anyway, that's how I did that. But now I get to help people do exactly what I did, compress time and be in community. And so every time that you guys reach out to me and you talk to me, you give me your testimonies of the trio. Those are the 3 supplements that help with insulin sensitivity. You ask me questions about, different products or whatever that we're working with. And I appreciate all of those connections with you guys because this is what I would have wanted. I would have wanted somebody that I could have asked questions to. So anyway, that's a part of why we do what we do. Cheryl, good to see you. Good to see you. Okay. All right. And again, I'm wearing a light color. Look at me. Look at me offsetting the white captions on Tickety Talk. Thank you so much, GLP-1 librarian, for the follow. You are amazing. I so appreciate you guys. You have no idea. So on TikTok, if people don't know, you have to play with the algorithm a little bit in order to get your information out there. And so if you guys would tap the screen, I would so appreciate it. And just give likes, etc., and follows. It's such a great thing. So anyway, so now it is my mission. It is my mission to talk about insulin resistance all the time. I'm convinced that when you turn around I'm not convinced. It's the truth. It's the fact. When you turn back around your insulin resistance, not only can you lose weight, which is the number one thing that everybody wants, almost everybody, you do not have to be overweight to be insulin resistant. Just telling you. However, often more of us are than not. Okay. But when you turn around your insulin, thank you, Cheryl. You don't have to buy me roses or give me roses. You can just like the screen. You are so sweet. I so appreciate you. When you turn back around, when you bring your sugars and your insulin down, you can finally lose weight. I've lost 3 sizes in my 50s. Okay. I'm the only one that's avoided type 2 in my family. The only one. And I'm on no meds. So that's kind of where my nutshell is. So when I talk about this, I love bringing to you information of insulin resistance being the very core conversation to basically every freaking other thing. Like, I swear, not much is not connected to insulin resistance. Not much. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Okay, it went away. All right. So today I want to talk about PCOS. And I know that PCOS is oftentimes thought of as kind of a younger female conversation. So if this is your daughter, if this is your niece or something, that's great. But it's also connected to menopause. And I want to tell you how and like how this shows up. Because again, everything is integrated and connected. And when we can start to turn around one section, man, you guys, your life can get so much better. You can like get rid of your brain fog and the aching in your body and the weight gain, the belly fat. That is such a problem. The belly fat is like, I think that's probably the most frustrating for us. Even though there are so many other things that are happening under the surface, but the weight gain is a really big one. So let's just get into what I have pulled up about PCOS, because remember, I'm not a doctor, but I know how to read and I can help. I can help people navigate. And what I want to do is my goal is to spark interest in you so that you go on and you research even more. Okay. There are really, really good resources out there with medical providers online, and we can take back our bodies and we can become our own advocates. And actually, we can get off of meds. and we can like lose weight and we can feel amazing. And then we can do all of the things that is in our hearts to do, because we actually have the energy to do them. We actually have the mobility and the function to do them. And we do not have to fear dementia. Okay. My mom died with Alzheimer's. We took care of her for 5 years. She should have never had dementia. 100% Swedish, nothing like that in her history. Okay. So insulin resistance, type 3 diabetes of the brain. Okay. Type 3 diabetes, insulin resistance of the brain. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. PCOS. Here we go. So PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome and insulin resistance. They are tightly linked. Insulin resistance is a key driver of PCOS symptoms because the body becomes less responsive to insulin, leading to elevated insulin levels. This disrupts hormone balance. I talk about this all the time, you guys. Once you're insulin resistant, it's domino affecting all of your other hormones. And this is male or female. So don't think this is just a female issue. The PCOS is, but you understand. It's an entire like hormonal system. This is not a calorie in, calorie out conversation for weight loss. It's a hormonal conversation. So getting your insulin and your sugars down, insulin is your hormone. You can finally lose weight, right? This is what we talk about. This disrupts hormone balance, increasing the production of androgens, which are male hormones, which exacerbate the symptoms. So when you're younger and you are you're perimenopause and before, it's presenting like this: irregular periods, excess androgen production, like acne, facial body hair growth, thinning hair on the scalp. Okay. Weight gain, particularly around the abdomen, as insulin resistance encourages fat storage. Ovarian cysts, small cysts on the ovaries are common but not always present. Infertility, you guys. Hormonal imbalances can make it difficult to ovulate regularly, affecting fertility. Okay, so those are when you're younger, okay? The fallouts, okay, so if you had PCOS in your earlier years and now you are in menopause, here we go, okay? The PCOS leads to increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular issues, chronic inflammation, and mental health. Again, nowhere in here do they say, never mind, I'm not going to go there yet. It just absolutely boggles the mind that you can research and research and research all different types of things. This is just generic information, generic science information. This isn't like any kind of a bought out study or anything like that. This is just generic information off of ChatGPT. And nowhere in here do they ever talk to me about red meat. Never. It's so interesting. Okay, I'm going to go on. So increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular issues, chronic inflammation, and mental health. All right. You can obviously change your diet. This is what we talk about in the group. Ditch insulin resistance for women. Get in the group, you guys. Get in the group. We're going to do another challenge. Oh, I don't have my calendar on me. It's not going to be the first week of November. It's actually the second week of November because, again, just my traveling days, etc. So it'll be the second week of November. I think it's going to be starting on Monday, the 11th. We do 5 days. Okay. We'll talk about food ingredient trade-outs. So you can do dietary changes, exercise, supplements, that's my wheelhouse. That's where I come in and I help people with targeted supplementation, stress and sleep management, and gut health. Okay. What are the things we talk about? We talk about gut health. We talk about targeted supplements to bring down your sugars and your insulin, etc. Okay. But there is a connection between PCOS and menopause. Okay? PCOS and menopause. It can be significant for women in their 50s. While PCOS is typically diagnosed during reproductive years, its effects can continue or even evolve as women approach menopause. Here's how this happens. So number one, hormonal changes during menopause and PCOS. Declining estrogen levels. During menopause, estrogen levels drop, which can impact hormone balance even further in women with PCOS. This may lead to worsened insulin resistance and an increase in androgen dominance, higher levels of male hormones. Okay. Number two, it can delay menopause. Studies show that women with PCOS may experience menopause later than average due to their disrupted ovulation patterns, sometimes delaying menopause into their late 50s or early 60s. That's interesting. And then number 3, persistent symptoms. Even though periods may stop, some PCOS related symptoms like weight gain, insulin resistance, and cardiovascular risk may worsen as menopause progresses. So, how is PCOS and menopause present in women in their 50s? Here we go. Here's what it looks like. Here's what you might feel like. Okay, hold on. Is there a test to measure inflammation? I'm going to say yes, but I don't know what it would be. I don't know how you test for inflammation. That's a very good question. Usually when I'm talking to people about inflammation, it's just kind of basically like people just know that they have a lot of inflammation in their body. And the other piece of the puzzle is that when you are insulin resistant, you have high insulin. That's an automatic, you have high inflammation. So if you want specifics, I'm not really sure what that would tell us other than that we're inflamed. Maybe it would tell us to the degree that we're inflamed. And the way that I personally deal with inflammation in terms of talking to you guys and in my own life, number one, I eat a very low inflammatory diet. I'm a whole food keto person because I view everything through the lens of insulin resistance. So I don't want to spike my sugars and call on more insulin because more insulin is going to mean more inflammation. But also, too, I talk about it in terms of the inflammation in somebody's gut. So oftentimes we have so much inflammation in our gut. That's where I talk to people about like the gut protocol that we're doing. In fact, if you are not ready, we'll start again November 1st for talking about gut health again for the first 10 days of November inside of the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. So get your gut primer, get your probiotic, get ready because you can actually then, follow protocol, so to speak. Protocol, that's a very, very dramatic word. You can just follow along and do it with people, do it in community by taking your gut primer, which is, it's not a greens product. It looks like a greens product, but it's actually more than that. But you can change that. So I talk about inflammation in the gut, bringing down your insulin and sugars, which brings down inflammation. And then there are some of y'all that you just know your inflammation is off the charts. So we'll teach the anti-inflammatory, the low inflammation foods in the group. But then some of you grab turmeric because you want extra, read all about it. Help with your inflammation. So I don't know about testing though. That is such a good question. Thank you for asking that question. I appreciate that. Yeah. Now that's going to make me study that, that. So that's what happens. Now I'm like, well, what tests would those be specifically for inflammation? Does anybody know that? Maybe somebody can enlighten me. How PCOS and menopause present in the women's in their 50s. Number one, increased insulin resistance. So if you've had PCOS or if you were diagnosed with PCOS and you're wondering why it's so hard for you to turn around your insulin resistance or why your journey is taking longer than Susie Q, who, like her journey is going fast, it might be because you were insulin resistant presenting with PCOS first. As estrogen levels drop, insulin resistance can increase, leading to higher blood sugar levels and greater difficult managing weight. I hope that's setting somebody free today a little bit, meaning that I'm convinced that if you have actual answers as to why things are happening like this, you'll give yourself greater permission to journey. You'll stick with it a little longer. You'll give yourself grace. You won't be so unkind to yourself. Number two, more pronounced weight gain. Many women experience weight gain around the abdomen during menopause, and those with PCOS may find this effect amplified due to insulin resistance. Worsened cardiovascular risk. Both menopause and PCOS increase the risk of heart disease. Lower estrogen and higher androgens can elevate cholesterol and blood pressure levels. This one I'm going to reread because we're not making the connection very well. Good morning, Carla. C-reactive protein, homocysteine 2 inflammation markers. Carol, thank you so much. I knew there were inflammation markers. That's what it's called. I hope you're still on. C-reactive protein, homocysteine 2, inflammation. Those are your inflammation markers. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate you. Good morning, Miss Anna. Good to see you. Can we do heart? There we go. Hearts on Instagram. There we go. Good morning, Anna. Thank you for being on TikTok. I appreciate you. You're amazing. Okay. And there are more, Carol says. So there are more tests that you can do for inflammation specifically. I knew that. I just did not know that name. That's fascinating. Thank you for that. C-reactive protein, homocysteine 2. Okay. So I'm going to reread this one because, again, okay, I'm not a doctor and I say that a lot, but I want you to know that it's because I'm always just studying and learning just like you are so that I can be my best advocate, because I've already advocated for 2 vulnerable adults inside of the medical system in Minnesota, home of the Mayo Clinic. And I was really discouraged and disappointed in how nothing, in my opinion, was really done with any of this. And it really brought to light everything that I already suspected inside of me, but then I needed it to be confirmed. And I suspected a lot starting from when my dad died and he had a lazy Susan full of medication and he was dead at 63, right? Type 2 diabetes. So I started asking questions inside of me. Well, when we talk about cholesterol or heart disease, we are very, very, very indoctrinated to believe that animal fat is creating, because there's cholesterol in animal fat, that is a direct correlation then to heart disease and blah, 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 blah. And we have to be wiser. We have to be smarter. We have to be more of our own advocate in order to actually turn back around the true things that are happening inside of our bodies. Okay. So that's why I'm going to reread this. The question was how PCOS and menopause present in women in their 50s. Worsened cardiovascular risk. Both menopause and PCOS increase the risk of heart disease. Lower estrogen and higher androgens, male hormones, can elevate cholesterol and blood pressure levels. Lower estrogen and higher androgens. So how do you turn this back around? How do you get your body to actually function at a higher level? Totally possible. These are not terminal diagnosis conversations that we're having here. I wouldn't be having it because that's not my wheelhouse at all to talk to you about, anything that starts with C. Isn't that interesting? It is so interesting. Thank you for saying that. It is. I know I'm not the only geek in the world and I apologize for it too much, but I'm telling you, you guys, we're constantly being given messages in media and in marketing, especially usually tied to products that they want to sell us. Just think about this for 2 seconds. If they're telling you that Cheerios is heart healthy, but it's grain and it's spiking your sugars and it's refined and it's making your insulin resistance persist and therefore you can't lose weight, and again, the losing weight is the soft part of what we really want, but the hardcore reality is PCOS and insulin resistance during these menopause years increase the risk of heart disease. Lower estrogen and higher androgens, male hormones, can elevate your cholesterol and blood pressure levels. So instead of, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, and I'm just a layperson, instead of fighting internally with yourself, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I go on that STATIN? They're going to force me to go on this STATIN because my numbers that they dictated are wrong. They're wrong. The sirens are going off. Instead of doing that, do your research. Go look up Dr. Ken Berry, cholesterol on YouTube. Go look up Dr. Eric Berg and cholesterol on YouTube. Go look up Dr. Kiltz, Kilz, I think. I don't think there's a T in there. I don't remember. Who literally uses the animal carnivore diet. He's a fertility doctor out of New York, uses animal products through carnivore to help women and their fertility. I'm just telling you, like, we have so many messages in our brain. Like, if we were to open up our computer and like blow out all of the cobwebs of everything that's been injected into our brain through marketing and through commercials and through, like, it comes at us from every direction. Like, it's been a very, very long time that I've watched a medical drama. Like, back in the day, I watched Grey's Anatomy all the time. Like, this is 20 years ago. I haven't watched a medical drama forever, but now I'd be curious to go back to some of those and think and find out, what were they teaching us? What were they trying? What agenda did they have? I'm just saying, like, I don't mean to sound like so skeptical, but I guess I'm a little skeptical. But I'd like to know, what were they injecting into our brains to believe about cholesterol and STATINSs, etc.? What was the agenda there? Because according to just basic science, lower estrogen and higher male hormones can elevate your cholesterol and your blood pressure levels. And newsflash, that comes from insulin resistance. So let's turn it back. Come with me. Let's turn it back. Come on. You can do this. And it might take you a long time. I don't know. And especially if you were diagnosed with PCOS a long time ago, it has already said here multiple times, it can be a little harder. It can take a little longer. It can be a little harder. It can take a little longer. Okay. Just go in it knowing. Don't ask yourself where you're going to be in 2 weeks. Please don't do that. Ask yourself, where are you going to be at the end of October 2025? You have to allow yourself journey. You have to allow yourself journey. Carla, delete. I know. Like, seriously, think about how we've been inundated. We've been saturated. We've been enveloped by really trash information, and it's been for a purpose and it's been for a reason. Okay. So when I talk to people about this and I say, okay, like, what if you had a completely different track to run on? What if you could, thank you so much for the likes. I so appreciate you. What if you could have a completely different track to run on? You don't have to run on the same track that's getting you the same results that are just frustrating you so much. All right, we're going to continue here and then I'll give you a track to run on. Persistent androgen symptoms. So symptoms like facial hair growth. Guys, you want to know something interesting? Okay. I'm going to tell you another little story. I've got all these stories that pop up in the middle of these lives. Okay, so here, I'll read this first. Thinning scalp, hair, and acne may persist or even worsen post-menopause due to the persistent imbalance between the androgens and estrogen, between the male hormones that are increasing and the declining estrogen. So you have thin hair, hormones, insulin resistance. Okay. Acne, post-menopause, like, what? I'm not a teenager anymore, right? And they have acne. That could be insulin resistance and whatever. I don't know that it has to be PCOS and menopause was the question. So it's the exacerbation of something. So meaning that the acne could be worse. And there's this imbalance. So when I was growing up, so it's just us, right? Like, nobody else is listening in from my family. Nobody else is listening. So good morning, Claudette. Good to see you. I'm Italian. And I remember, I have many different memories, but there was a lot of obesity and type 2 in my Italian family. You can imagine. All of the men, not all of them, but a lot of the men had these huge bellies, and then they would buckle their buckle would be way below their belly, because that's what happens with men, right? They buckle it way down there, and then they say, I have a 32-inch waist. That was super common. And we kind of laughed at it. Ha, ha, ha. Well, it really wasn't very funny, but there were a lot of women. And there was one in particular that I remember. I was a little girl. So I remember, my vantage point was looking up, and one of my uncles had a girlfriend with him at, I think it was a wedding. And she had a low cut dress, and she literally had a little bit of chest hair and facial hair. And, I remember thinking as a little girl, well, that's the strangest thing I've ever seen. And I didn't, and it's not like it was today where there were, openly transitioning people. That's not what that was. It really was the picture of insulin resistance in my family all over the place. Because what happens is, what they're saying is that, PCOS and menopause, this level of insulin resistance really gone off the rails, meaning like you have high androgens, which are male hormones, and you have decreasing estrogen. You're getting facial hair, you're getting hair in, areas that you're not excited about. Maybe you're plucking more, maybe you're having, areas that are waxed, etc. And that's what this is from. Okay. So very, very interesting. And I look back now on my Italian upbringing, and there are so many things now that I read about, and I'm like, oy vey, like this was literally my life. Who knew? So managing it more naturally looks like this: focusing on insulin sensitivity, prioritizing a diet that improves insulin sensitivity can help manage both PCOS and menopause symptoms. Strength training and regular exercise, supplements for hormonal balance, bone and heart health, stress management, and sleep. So those are the two things that I talk about all the time. I talk about targeting your supplementation for insulin sensitivity. And that came out of a place for me of I was not a disciplined person. I didn't have disciplines in my life pretty much at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I went to work. I showed up at work on time. I was disciplined enough to, be whatever. Like I could keep a job. I wasn't, being undisciplined and not getting, I wasn't getting fired or anything like that. But discipline for my own personal self, I did not have at all. I was very, very addicted to sugar, and I never took supplements. Like I was not taking care of myself at all, even though my dad died when I was 30. I was only 30, and all three of my kids were 6, 3, and 6 months old. So Italian grandpa, the only one they had, dead when they are 6, 3, and 6 months old. I spend my 30s raising my children after he dies, eating whatever the heck I wanted, living on International Delight coffee creamer filled with sugar, making, buying 50-pound bags of flour and splitting them with my girlfriend from Sam's Club to make bread. And, whatever, like homemade pizzas and homemade Italian dough and all these different things, right? And it wasn't until I hit my 40s, and I was not skinny in my 30s, FYI, but now I'm getting worse in my 40s. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Is this what it just means to get old? Like, I don't know. My entire Italian family is struggling with obesity. So, maybe I just embrace my obesity. Maybe I just embrace type 2. I mean, nobody's ever told me that it could be turned around. My dad was type 2. They wouldn't even let me give him a kidney, even though I was a match. In my 20s, they wouldn't let me because he was type 2. So it's genetic, right? This is all hogwash, by the way. This is like all BS. So anyway, come to find out that, the genetic component is actually like the culture of food. Who knew? Obviously not me. So I get up into my 40s, and my mom is like, Kirsten, don't you take care of your sugars? Don't you pay attention? Don't you remember you were gestational diabetic with your first baby? Why are you not paying attention to whether or not you're drinking water all the time, you're thirsty, you're peeing all the time? Do you know where your sugars are at? Could you at least go to a doctor and get a test done? And I literally in my head was like, yeah, I won't be doing that because I do not want to know. Not interested. So I didn't. And I did instead, which was kind of a joke to me at the time, because I was like, instead, I'm just going to take supplements. I've never supplemented before in my life, but I'm just going to take supplements because that's what was presented in my world. Excuse me. Somebody basically said, why don't you try these? So I tried supplementation. I had no idea that it was going to work, and I had no idea why it was working. I was very disconnected from anything that was scientific. I got like a C in biology. Like this is not my wheelhouse at all. And I just was not, I didn't care. I didn't care. Like if it's going to help me, it's going to help me. This is great. I didn't understand how amazing it was going to be. So the supplements that I talk to you guys all about, which are the trio, a lot of you that watch me, you're already using the trio and getting your own testimony. Those are 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. So I start with those, and I do not understand how that's going to help me calm the food noise in my brain. Like so much food noise going on. This is why I wouldn't trade out my ingredients first. Because how was I ever going to possibly do that? You know, come on, you know, you don't even have to admit it in the comments if you don't want to. Sweet, salty, sweet, salty, sweet, salty, until you're stuffed, and then you take a nap. That's actually a symptom of insulin resistance. I don't know if you knew that or not. Chasing carbs like that, because your body's chasing energy because they're not getting. Oh, Donna, you know what? This is off of ChatGPT. So this is not an article. I wish that it was, but well, I guess I don't know. It's not an actual article. This is basically just a compilation of scientific common thought process. Yeah, from probably a lot of different resources. They don't give me the resources on that. But take her in the, you can send her my live after it's done and it's posted if you want to. But anyway, so I didn't realize that it was going to help me with all of my food noise. And that is actually one of the things that I hear the most about from you guys. You're so grateful because it kind of makes you just go, because it's a lot. It's a lot in our brains. And I know that as we head into the holiday season right now, like November is around the corner, like it's right there. It's right there. And so I can feel, I feel for myself because I don't forget what it feels like to go into the holiday season and to think about the different social events that'll be taking place. You almost give yourself no hope at all to lose a pound or to do anything like that. You're like, that's not going to happen. Thank you so much for all the likes, you guys. You guys are really amazing on TikTok. I appreciate you so much. And so I always went into the holidays right around this time as we approached Halloween. And I always had the thought process, and this goes way back, you guys. This goes way back to when I was a little girl. And my mom, in fact, I could go in my cupboard right now and pull out the aluminum mixing bowl, the big aluminum mixing bowl. And she would fill it with candy and she would put it in one of the cupboards, and not in the kitchen. It was a cupboard on the other side of the island. And it would sit there waiting for Halloween. Well, how much do you think was left by the time Halloween came? And that was common. And we would have so much candy in the house. And so Halloween was always the moment of the sugar season starting. And it literally didn't let up until Easter. So I always just kind of disregarded November and December. Nothing good is going to happen in November, December. Nothing positive is going to happen with my weight November, December. All I have left is to try to find clothes that I look halfway decent in so that I can be a part of a family picture. Because I'm not going to actually move forward. I'm not going to gain ground. I'm just going to learn how to survive. I mean, this is my brain. This may not be you at all, for real. But this is where I have been. And after a while, because when I started to supplement and I started to like change my food noise, and then I changed out my ingredients, I remember there was a year that came and I went, I don't feel like heavy. Not weight wise. I don't feel heavy in my spirit about going into the holiday season. Like, I actually feel like I have enough tools in my toolbox to navigate it. Like, what? And that was a big shift for me. But that came after a couple of years of changing out my food ingredients. Okay. So what does that look like? I can share that with you. So much food noise at this time of year. Donna. Yep. I just resonate with this so much. So the track that I have people, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. The track that I have people run on is this. It's literally a recreation of the track that I've been running on this whole time. And that's why I know that it can work. And if you guys, I'm going to give you a track, and don't take my word for it. Do not just listen to me. Go to my Instagram. Even that's why I put this up here for you guys. So like, if you're in the balcony, you can just go to my profile anyway. You don't even have to come in here. Go to my profile. That's what it looks like. That's why I put that up there so you guys can see it on the balcony. And there's an IG portal. Go over to IG. Take 5 minutes out of your day. Everybody has 5 minutes. There's a pink highlight bubble at the top of the page. Surf through those testimonies. They're literally all, I don't know that there are many from last year. They're all from January 1 of 2024. Okay. And those are specifically testimonies from the Trio, TRIO. The Trio are 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. This is where I started 10 years ago. When you can bring your sugars and your insulin down, you can finally lose weight. I've lost 3 sizes. When you get your liver functioning at a higher level, you can actually lose fat. Like, you can deal with your metabolism and your visceral belly fat. I'm just telling you, this is 100% true. You just have to be willing to go on a journey, and you have to be willing to believe in yourself a little bit. But don't just stop there, because that's just one piece of the puzzle. The other piece of the puzzle is fixing what got you into the pickle to begin with. You cannot out-supplement really poor eating habits. It doesn't work. So I did this first. I get it. And I tell you, I'm just being honest. I'm not going to lie and say that I started with food first. I didn't. I started with this first. And I do have a lot of people that do that because they want to calm the food noise. Because when you can calm the food noise, guess what you can do? You can then have a minute in your brain to think about trading out an ingredient, putting something on a list, looking up a recipe, trying a new recipe. You actually like give yourself a window of opportunity. But then get into the group. Ditch insulin resistance for women. Get into the group, because, and that's on there too, you guys. There's one little page, and you can scroll up and there's a Facebook blue button. But get into the group, because then we'll do a challenge starting on Monday, November 11th. And we'll go through ingredient trade outs, which is a really big deal for me to share with people because I'm Italian. Okay. And it's like having that opportunity to be able to talk to you guys about the thoughts that were in my head when I was trading out food. I thought I had to stop being a foodie. I thought I had to be ashamed of the fact that I loved food because I was raised to love food. And I stopped shaming myself, and I accepted the fact that I was raised a certain way. We really celebrated with food and we mourned with food. And this was just my life. And I don't have to be ashamed of that. But also too, there's a lot of that shame of, and we've talked about this before on here, you guys, finish your plate because there are starving children in third world countries and blah, 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 and you feel like guilt that you love food and somebody else doesn't have access and whatever, like all of these silly things that we have rolling around in our brain, and we haven't paused long enough to address them. We haven't thought long enough to actually make sure that those thoughts go away and get replaced with a different set of thoughts, a different narrative in our brain. But that is a track to run on. And if you've been following my content for any length of time now, you know that we're talking about the Trio, which are the three supplements for insulin sensitivity, but we're also talking about resetting your gut. And the reason why is because insulin resistance creates leaky gut. And when you have leaky gut, you're leaching out nutrients that your body needs to be able to actually fix these issues. So if you know that your gut is janky and you know that your gut needs help, you're constipated, you have a lot of brain fog, you're exhausted, you've got to move that impacted waste through. You have to do that. But moving it through just to take fiber, I'm sorry, it's not your answer. It's not your answer. And let me explain why it's not just your answer. Yes, you want to move it through. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But when you talk about a gut primer, It's a completely different ballgame. We are in a different stratosphere when we talk about a gut primer. If you talk about greens, that's great. Let's move through your impacted waste and help your liver to create the bile. I just got fireworks on Instagram to create the bile that it needs so that you can digest your food, blah, 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 break it down, yada, yada. Yay, that is good. But a gut primer, you guys, it's like priming your walls before you paint. So the gut primer that I talk about all the time, this one, some of you are doing 3 10-day resets off of this one canister. Some of you started a 10-day reset and you said, yeah, I'm not going to be stopping that because I need to keep this going in my system. Perfect. 2 different people are doing 2 different things. That's great. We will start again highlighting gut health and insulin resistance connection in the group Ditch Insulin Resistance again at November 1st. But this is fermented greens, prebiotics, postbiotics, alkaline spices, digestive enzymes, and fiber, not just fiber from trashy ingredients, but extracts from fruits and vegetables. And everything's grown on organic farms. So you're not making your body work harder than it needs to work. But this is what happens. It's going to help you absorb your nutrients better from the food you're eating and the supplements you're taking. Like you have to shore up, right? Shore up. Elaine, it's so nice to meet you. I would love to help you, Elaine. I will message you when I get off and you let me know what you want or what you need help with the most. Anna, it's so good to see you. I know I've already said that, but it's always so fun. Thank you for liking. In your photos, you were always in the back row. I don't think any of us were in the front row, were we? I mean, I know that, even still, it's like, there's a default to that, right? There's a default, it's kind of like, Anna. I appreciate you. You're welcome, Elaine. Carla wants a cart for the trio, the carb blocker. Okay, I take you seriously, Carla. I really do. And I will do it for you, but you're hysterical. The trio, the carb blocker, the ignite, the ashwagandha, the vitamin D, the vitamin C. Thanks so much. You're a supplement girl. I will send you everything, Carla. I will send you everything. Tell me one thing, Carla. Do you want the 1 month vitamin C or there's 2 different sizes. Do you want the smaller or the large? You just let me know. Not that you can't find it for yourself once you're on there. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so I'm just telling you, like, I'm pretty dang excited all the time that I traded out my ingredients. I've never regretted it. Not one day, not 1 minute. I'm pretty darn excited that I chose to become kind of a granola person. I'm a label reader now. I take supplements every single day. Me, who was not a disciplined person. Now that's what I do. And it kind of is, it's a little interesting, large. Okay, Carla, it's an interesting conversation that you can become. Oh, I want everybody to hear this. Okay, let's just talk girl talk for just a second. You can become a completely different person. And I don't mean that the person you are now is not the person that you need to love and enjoy being right now. What I mean by that is when you begin to apply certain things to your life, you become who you were intended to be. And we talked about this a tiny bit the other day when I said, I had messages given to me in early, elementary school years. You talk too much. And, I always got in trouble for talking with the teachers, 5th grade, blah, blah, blah. And a boy named me, Jive Talking after the song. Anyway, my point being that when you begin to apply, personal development to yourself, you become way more of who you were always intended to be by God. And it is a beautiful, amazing thing. You become more confident in yourself. You become stronger. You stand with stronger legs in your own advocacy of yourself. And you guys, I didn't even start it until I was like 51 years old. changing out my food. Maybe a little bit before that, I started supplementing first, but I really dove into dealing with my lack of discipline. That's not even true. I suppose when I started supplementing, that was my first jump into dealing with my lack of discipline. The first thing that I had to do in my upper 40s was to actually figure out how to be disciplined enough to have a supplement routine. And I'm not ashamed to say that because I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not the only one that was just like, I'm just going to live my life. I'm not going to pay any attention to anything. I'm totally disconnected from my body. I'm not watching out for signs. And all of a sudden, I am watching because I'm like, okay, my weight and my mom, and she won't leave me alone. And then I did start to question because she wouldn't shut up, right? So we always tell parents, keep talking to your kids, right? Well, that's what she was doing. And so I am thinking like, is that sore on my leg taking a little longer to heal? I'm going to keep an eye on that. That's what was happening. So I became a more disciplined person over time. And if you need a good book to read The Compound Effect. It's how little actions every single day over time, they don't just add up like this. They do this. They compound like compound interest on your money. So no matter what you're putting that towards, whether I put that towards my business and I take daily activity in building my online business, whether I apply that to my health and every day I apply that to my supplement routine, whether I apply that to my food and every day I apply that to the ingredients that I purchase at a store and the recipe that I look up and I try, or the fact that I'm going to learn how to do things differently for this holiday season, et cetera. It's a compound effect. And you can have a completely different experience this November and December. This November and December can be completely different for you. And come January 2025, you are not literally pulling yourself in on your belly because you're just like trashed. You don't have to do that again. You don't. You can literally take a leaping jump and land on your feet in January and then crush 2025. I am fully convinced that that is true. And you know what? This season, if this is your first Christmas season, your first holiday season, basically from Halloween to New Year's, let's just call it what it is, right? It goes from Halloween to New Year's, all the candy, the walls of the candy, the walls of the sugar, just everywhere, every frosted cookie, every bag of candy. And now we go into all the parties this whole season. If you've never done this before and actually had a different thought process, like in the group, I'll teach you how to, like we did Asian meatballs this month so that you can have something in a crock pot to take to somebody's house. We'll put some tools in your toolbox like that, right? Having said that, if this is your first one, don't expect this season to be so dang perfect that you require perfection. Because it took me probably 3 Christmas seasons to tweak it to what I wanted it to be. I mean, you have to have a long-term thought process, people. You're changing habits that have been with you for a very, very, very long time. This is no longer, I'm going to lose 10 pounds for the date on Saturday night. We have got to get out of our high school mentality of, I'm just going to sneak into that little black dress in college. That was back then. That's not now anymore. And especially when you're connecting PCOS and menopause. Much longer conversation, right? Hi, Lori. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. I so appreciate you. OMG, Anna, and everybody. I don't remember who all has been liking, but you guys are amazing. You've got me up over 2,000. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Giving yourself permission to do it different this year. Yes. You are in the UK, Elaine. Okay. You know what, Elaine? I would be more than happy to have you in the group, but I cannot do business in the UK. I'm so sorry. I have so many people from Australia and the UK and South Africa, people even from India. I used to have a lot of people from India on my Instagram, and I don't have the availability to do business over there. So I cannot sell supplements over there, but I can have you in the group. Okay. And I can do the United States and Canada and the Dominican Republic. In Canada, by the way, I just found out this morning, if you are one of my Canadian peeps, the blood orange extract, the fat burner, the orange pixie sticks, they're not launched in Canada yet. I thought they were. So you guys in the United States are very blessed and highly favored that you can get your hands on them here, because in Canada they can't. And I can't ship because that's exporting. I can't do that. So when it gets launched in Canada, though, I will let you know, because I just am increasing my customer base in there. Up there, you guys are like right north of me. We border each other. And being in Minnesota, and I will let you know, because it's a really good product. So anyway, but Elaine, there is a group called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And you can look that up right here on Facebook and get in there. Right now it has some leaves across the top banner. And I don't know if I can, I'll finish up with this last piece here for you guys. Kirsten Liebelt. I'll pull up my website and I'll just show you quickly how you can get in there. So my site is my first and last name.com. Kirsten, Kirsten, Liebelt, Liebelt. Kirsten is like the American Girl doll spelling. Liebelt looks like lie, like you lie down, and belt like you wear around your pants. Liebelt.com. Okay, that's my site. And when you pull it up, this is what it looks like. But I want to show you how easy this is. So this is my before and after, right? And I know it's janky. This is an older computer, so the resolution is really stinky, okay? So just bear with me. This is a Chromebook, and it's not, I don't love it. Why is that not moving? Hold on. Point taken. Hold on. So I'm going to scroll so that it goes down, and there are buttons. It'll look different on your phone, but one of the buttons you can see is that Facebook blue. Okay, so it'll look different on your phone, but it's a very simple one page, very easy. You can look for trio information on there. You can look for my personal message on there. You can watch a very under 2-minute reel on how to make the sugar-free chocolate pudding, and the egg white bread is on there. But then there's also a phone number on there that you can text me and ask me questions. And just like Carla said, will you put these things in a cart for me? She said, I want this, and this in my cart. I'll go and I'll create that for her and I'll send it off to her. I'll do the same thing for you too. If you want certain things in a cart to look at, and then you pick and choose what you want. You don't have to get what's in the cart. You can pick and choose and add it to your own cart. The only thing that I say is please go to the top. There's a person icon, register with your name so that you can get the best shipping. Don't miss out on the best shipping. And then I can also send you a thank you card and a little bit of a sample, because I like to do that. I appreciate you guys so much. All right. So I'm very, very excited about everything that's going on right now. It is 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have such a good weekend. I am going to go get my hair done right now. I'm going to go get my hair cut and get my roots touched up. And then I have a funeral tomorrow. And the funeral is of my bestest girlfriend since I was 4 years old, her mother, who lived across the street from me in the suburb of Minneapolis. So my mom died a year and a half ago. And now my best friend's mom just passed in her 90s. And she's here in Minnesota. And so my girlfriend, my bestest girlfriend, is coming from Texas for her mom's funeral. So it's a bittersweet, but she did live a very nice, beautiful, long life. And so I know that Joanne and my mama, they both knew Jesus, and they are going to get to hang out a little bit in heaven right now. Actually, it's probably not true. We say that, but I think we just go worship right before the throne. So, but it's still nice. We just get to still see everybody, and it's still good. So, but anyway, so I'm going to do a funeral this weekend, but it is a gorgeous fall weekend. And listen, if you have not made the decision yet to do November and December differently, don't sabotage yourself. If you know inside of yourself you need to take a couple of different steps for this season, please reach out to me. I'm right now in the middle of helping somebody tweak, so that they can have exactly what they need, but they have a budget that they're working in. It's okay, right? Like, we do what we can when we can, and we move forward. And some people do everything. And some people start with just one thing because that's where they have to start. It's okay. It's no big deal. It's your making the decision that matters the most. It's your changing the way you're viewing November and December and having hope that matters the most. But guess what? I'm not going to go anywhere. We're going to do this together. The next challenge in the group is starting Monday, the 11th of November. And we're just going to crush November. We're going to get all that information right before Thanksgiving, and we're going to crush it. And then we're going to do another challenge in December. And then you're going to crush Christmas. And then we're going to do another challenge in January. And then you're going to crush the beginning of the year. And by the time you hit February, you've had 3 challenges. All 3 of them are free. You've maybe customized your supplementation so that you can figure out how best to get your body functioning. And you're going into spring looking completely different, or feeling completely different, or on a different track, or whatever it is for you. Some people, their goal isn't necessarily weight first, it is meds. I don't know what it is for you. So you decide. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Be abundantly blessed. And I will see you on Monday. And don't forget, I will be off Thursday and Friday next week.